I'd like to now welcome to the stage John Asquith, Head of Innovation for Government from ServiceNow.
Hello, and thanks for joining this session. In the previous session, Chris Fechner talked about delivering digital citizen services and how the quality of service delivery impacts on trust, confidence, and perceptions of government. So delivering a great service has to be a key goal for any government department. And I think most of us would agree that what great looks like should be primarily measured in terms of the customer's perception of the service, and that customers' overall experience of the service is what really counts. So in this session, I'm going to share some thoughts on, firstly, what a great experience might look like. Secondly, how you design and deliver a service that gives people a great experience. And finally, what is required to enable you to scale these services to deliver at speed. By way of introductions, my name is John Asquith, and my role is to engage with the ServiceNow community, raise awareness, and ensure the conversations that we're having are aligned to the needs of our customers, and provide awareness of the range of business issues that we can help you to address. I also get involved in lots of innovation and new use cases for the ServiceNow platform with our customers and our partners, and I run some of our hackathons, which you'll hear more about in a moment. Our purpose at ServiceNow is to make the world of work better for people, and that's exactly what I would like to be able to help you to achieve in your respective organizations as well. But what does better look like? Well, to start with, we want to help people work the way that they want to, and not how most software dictates that they have to, which means we need to help organizations to easily build the experiences that people want, so that you have a motivated and engaged workforce and better outcomes for the community that you serve. But in order to do that, we also need to have a view on what those experiences might look like. And we do quite a bit of research on this, and I'm sure you won't be surprised to hear that our analysis suggests that the future of work is going to be deeply human-centric, and it'll be focused around this notion of an experience. An experience is really the feeling that you're left with following an interaction that you have as an individual, and at specific times in specific places, and potentially using technology as part of an employee or customer journey. And we see that technology is likely to play a key role in freeing us from the mundane, menial work, giving us the time back to be able to focus on the more meaningful work in our lives. So what is a great experience for someone who wants to interact digitally with government? At ServiceNow, we recognize that behind every great experience, there's a great digital workflow, and we like to give our customers and partners a challenge every now and again to remind them how quickly and easily they can build applications on the ServiceNow platform. So late last year, we got about 100 people together in a dozen teams for a hackathon to see how they could look at improving the way that people engage with government. Now, the Minister for Customer Services in New South Wales came along and had this to say about what he thinks a good experience is all about.
Customer service is all about understanding what the customer wants, not what government wants to give the customers. Events like hackathons help us understand the customer better, and more importantly, what the customer wants, and then to better understand and customise our service to the people of our state. We've still only got 24 hours a day. Time is the final frontier, but with technology moving so fast, we're getting more and more apps, more and more digital clutter. What I can do is not just give money back to people in terms of refunds and rebates, but give time back to people. The best way is to make sure you only engage with government once. If we can give time back to people, then that will make for a far better customer experience.
The overriding message from the Minister that was also reflected in some of the things that Chris talked about earlier is that giving time back to people is what's really important, which means things like not asking the same questions about you every time you interact, and having some understanding of what are the most relevant services to me as an individual. But improving the customer experience is also good for government. Research consistently shows that some of the key metrics like trust and customer satisfaction are improved. But also your organization becomes more efficient, reduces operational risk, and you end up with happier employees. It also means giving customers visibility into your organization so that they can see the status of their requests and how their issues are tracking without necessarily having to get on the phone and waiting for someone to get back to them with an update. This last challenge is actually a little bit scary for most government organizations. The idea of exposing your internal processes to the general public would have been unthinkable a few years ago. And much of the work that has been done around customer engagement to date has been aimed at eliminating the ability for people to talk to the back office staff who are actually doing the work and who know what's going on. That's been done by reducing the number of telephone numbers that they could call and having to interact through central service centres. But if that doesn't enable an issue to be resolved quickly, or doesn't allow someone to know how things are tracking, it's probably going to be a bad experience. So getting those back office workflows digitized and connected to the front office to enable people to engage directly with all the parts of your organization now has to be the primary objective to enable services to be improved. One of the interesting things that we found is that for people working in operational units whose job is to get stuff done, digitizing workflows has not only improved the customer experience, it's also improved the employee experience. That's because employees spend an average of 42% of their time at work doing menial tasks, which are boring and frustrating. And most people would rather be doing more meaningful work that uses their human skills more effectively, leaving machines to do the menial work. A really good example of an organisation who has really embraced this approach is Kiwi Bank, which is the National Bank of New Zealand. It happens to be owned by the New Zealand government, so in that sense it's one of our government customers. But the real relevance here is that the way banks operate in many ways are similar to the way government has to operate. So Kiwi Bank in particular, it's a bank of the people, for the people. So they have to be able to provide a great service to anyone, just like government in the sense that they don't get to choose their customers. Banking is also a regulated market, so compliance matters and security, and that needs data and ideally in real time. So Kiwi Bank have used the ServiceNow platform as that layer that sits between their back office systems of record, the traditional banking platforms, and is used between that and customers, and is used across branch, contact center operations and other teams to work on and to automate those customer processes to make them more efficient and effective. And they're using it to drive many of their customer workflows, for example, the loan repayment changes, which they had to be able to track more effectively, otherwise face the risk of considerable fines in the multi-millions of dollars if they didn't get that right. And other processes like appointment booking and so on are all being rolled out on the platform. So it's going to be used across the organization to ensure that things get done irrespective of which department they're in, and will replace some of the old ways of working, which, for instance, used emails and spreadsheets for lots of the things that are now done on the platform. So they've already saved tens of thousands of hours in terms of efficiency just in the first few processes that they migrated, and they've got a total of about 700 services altogether. So they're pretty excited about how much benefit that they'll be able to realize by moving all of those customer processes and workflows onto the Now platform. What's also interesting is that they've also seen improved employee engagement through reduced employee effort and enabling them to do more meaningful work. And also, because they already had the platform in place at the beginning of the year, when COVID hit New Zealand, back in March, they were able to pivot rapidly to deliver new services, especially to support those in need, delivering new services in a matter of days. Now, digitizing those workflows will also enable the platform to identify and learn what good looks like. Like any platform that uses AI, the ServiceNow platform needs data to learn, and the data needs to come from every stage of those workflows. Even if the workflow extends over multiple areas of an organization or even multiple organizations and the various systems of record that support those areas. Which means that the platform that provides those workflows needs to sit on top of the other platforms that provide just parts of the solution. In other words, the digital workflow platform actually needs to become the platform of platforms in order to deliver the kind of experiences that customers really want. Now, not every organization is able to go all in straight away with digitizing their workflows and creating a new catalog of all of the services that are now available digitally. But I agree with Chris that COVID has taught us some really important lessons. And for me, one of the great outcomes is that we've seen how government and industry can come together with a single purpose and get things done quickly and at low cost using this platform-based approach. Another example, I don't know if any of you would have seen a recent article that was in the news commenting on the sudden improvement in the way that Home Affairs is managing the exemption process for Australians to travel overseas. So Home Affairs were already using the ServiceNow platform for their IT service management, but realized they needed to be able to respond to rapidly changing needs for international travel. So they came to us and we were able to switch on some additional customer workflow capabilities in the platform for them and deliver various new citizen-facing portals to manage the application and approval process for exemptions, as well as some of the other travel-related use cases. And that was done literally in a matter of weeks. And this was all done basically using low or no code agile development processes and running in the cloud. So we were able to scale rapidly to not only meet the current demand, but also to eliminate the weeks of backlog that are built up. And we did that just in a few days. And now instead of an email-based application process, which would often take weeks for a response, and which in many cases would end up with a rejection simply because the right information had not been provided. So approvals are now happening in a matter of minutes in some cases, as the workflow has sufficient intelligence to automate the application process and even some of the approvals. Many of our other customers and partners have also built solutions on the Now platform over the last few months to support operations during these times, particularly in the health sector, and most of which are free. So here's a few, one of which even got a mention from Kim Kardashian, so we must be doing something right. And the thing that all of these applications have in common is the speed that these applications have been developed, which from an innovation perspective is something that we're loving to see. And what's really exciting to me is that the consequences of being able to solve problems at such a rapid pace is going to be transformational in its own right. And when we combine that ability with the capability that technology platforms such as the ServiceNow platform bring to the table, which have already had billions of dollars invested in them to build a robust, secure and scalable platform, we're likely to see the pace of change ramp up even more. Now, both government and businesses will be facing significant challenges in the next few years to recover from the economic impacts of the pandemic, whilst trying to build a more sustainable digital economy. So, as well as improving customer and employee experience, we also need to consider the most effective way of getting out of the economic recession that we're now seeing. And one significant contributor could be increasing productivity, which can be achieved through automation. Now, I realise there are deep suspicions about the impact of automation, especially as it relates to jobs and society. And those suspicions are not without merit, but are often based on a rather futuristic notion of automation, where machines take over from humans and take away our jobs. And I'm sure most of you who are listening to this will agree that the reality is hopefully somewhat different, and it's important that we ensure that automation technology does become a force for good and not for bad. But managed correctly, it can in fact become a significant force for good. For example, last year, McKinsey explored the potential outcomes either way in its article on Australia's automation opportunity, and found that accelerated adoption of automation could improve annual productivity by up to 150%, increase incomes by between $4,000 and $15,000 per Australian, and grow GDP by up to $600 billion by 2030. This sounds almost too good to be true, so we need to think about what sort of automation will actually enable this outcome. And the key to unlock this opportunity is by creating digital workflows to replace a lot of those old manual processes. Tasks are then distributed to and completed by people who, by the way, can now be located anywhere, including those working from home or in regional areas. And the work that's then required to complete these tasks could eventually be augmented by machines, which would make sure that people have access to the right information and advice to make the best decisions and to take the right actions. Fundamental to this approach is for your platforms to have access to machine learning and AI technologies to enable the machines to learn from people over time and to start taking the more menial work off them to enable people to spend more time on the meaningful work that needs the skills of the person to do the right thing. So I'm going to finish with a final example of using digital workflows that will make work better for all of us. ServiceNow has been busy itself delivering new capabilities between releases to address some of the immediate challenges like returning to work in a way that is safe and controlled with our new Safe Workplace apps. So I'll wish you all the best through these challenging times and finish with this video that hopefully will enable you to consider how you and your teams can stay safe as we try to return to some kind of normal.
As the world reopens, ServiceNow is helping customers make sure going back to the workplace works for everyone. Introducing the Safe Workplace apps and dashboard. 4 apps specifically designed to help ensure the health and safety of your workforce and workplace, all housed in a single dashboard to give you a comprehensive look into everything you need to know. And they're available now, out of the box, powered by the Now platform. Get a bird's eye view to make sure your employees are prepared and ready to go back to the workplace. Manage inventory levels across your organisation thanks to workflows that automatically replenish supplies. Screen and verify the health of your employees and help manage workflows for cleaning, sanitation and safe distancing for employees. 4 essential apps, 1 comprehensive dashboard. Together we can make sure going back to the workplace can work for everyone. That's the power of the Now platform.